Alright guys, welcome back to the video. So here is our box from yesterday, the one where we're using only hand tools to make it. And like I said yesterday, it is very, very rough. These are some of the worst dovetails I've cut in a very long time, even comparing them to the first box I ever made with hand cut dovetails. These are not very good. And I think the problem I ran into with the dovetails is I was thinking that they were going to be the one part of this whole thing that I knew how to do. You know, they're the one thing that I've done in the past. You know, I've hand cut a lot of stuff with dovetails on them, so I didn't think about them as much as I was thinking about everything else. And so I definitely let those slip a little bit. We also have the holes in the side there that I don't think I'm going to try and fill because I genuinely have no idea how to do that with only hand tools. I don't know how to make a piece that small with the hand tools that I have. So overall, the only reason I'm going through and actually going to be completing this project is purely for my own sanity. You know, it's never good to start a project and then kind of give up on it partway through. That's just not good for your mental health, anything like that. And I just mainly want to figure out if I can get through the rest of this process here. Because all that we have left to do is we have to clean up our outside faces with the hand plane. We then have to split the lid off of the rest of the body of the box here. We then have to clean up the lid, install our hinges, all that kind of stuff. This board that I'm using to flatten, I still technically count this as a hand tool because it's not machinery, even though I know some people don't include sandpaper as being part of the whole hand tool category. But having a flat surface like that you can lap things like this on is very handy. So that's only 120 grit, and it definitely left a whole bunch of marks in that on here. But all I needed is to get the top and the bottom edges nice and flat so that the boxes can sit on a flat surface and not rock around. And then having the sides mostly flattened is gonna make things a lot easier. All of that kind of stuff comes from just normal box making. The next thing we have to do here is to separate the lid from the rest of the box. So our lid is going to be the top 1 inch of material here. And so using the marking gauge, I just went through and struck a line all the way around the box so I actually know where I need to cut in order to remove this lid properly. And so now I need to go through and separate the lid from the rest of the box here. And so somehow we have to cut along this line, following it fairly specifically all the way around the box. And the biggest problem here is I don't have any of the right tools to do it. Because the way that you would normally do this is you could either use the bandsaw, which is, pretty easy, but does have some issues with it, or you could use the table saw to cut right along this line. And it doesn't matter which one of those methods you choose, whether you go with the table saw or the bandsaw, as long as your box is somewhat squared up like it is right now, it's a pretty easy thing to do. But the issue is I don't have any way of actually cutting through this. My only two options for saws is this panel saw that I cannot figure out how to work it really nicely, and my dovetail saw, which I know would work nicely, but there's not really any way to kind of get the angle on the box that I need to use the dovetail saw. The best thing to use here would be a Japanese Ryoba saw. But the rule that I set when I started this project is that I didn't want to buy any tools for it. You know, I specifically don't want to go out and have to buy anything for this project. Because this project is not going to be something that I can sell, there's not really any way to recoup the cost of going and buying tools for it. So it really didn't make sense to be going out and going shopping for more hand tools that I only need for a single project. That's not going to make me any money. So the whole trick here is to just work with what I have to see if I can use the tools that I have at my disposal in order to make this cut. So I think my best approach to this is I'm just going to use my dovetail saw. If I could start on the corners and start to get things kind of separated, then I can use my saw right across the face, even though a dovetail saw is not really meant for that. You know, it's got a lot of teeth for it. It's meant more for a cross cut rather than a rip cut like this. But I think that the dovetail saw is going to be my best option, because I already know just from trying to use this saw that however the teeth are set up, whatever the heck this saw is meant for, I bought this when I first got into woodworking, not really understanding what the heck saws meant, that each saw actually has very specific things that it does. I'm not too excited to use that one, whereas with my dovetail saw, I have a pretty good understanding of how to use it. I know kind of what I'm doing with it. So I'm just going to start by cutting my corners and then bringing that in as following the line as much as I can and just kind of rocking the saw back and forth to follow the line. Then once I've gotten into the corners as much as I can and I've kind of rocked down and I've pushed that line through the edges as much as I can, then I'll be able to finish it off by just going flat on the face of the box here, and with whatever material is left, I should have tracks on both ends that I can just pull the saw through, and that should hopefully make everything work out here using a tool that is definitely not ideal for this situation here. Nice. Okay, so we now have a box body and a lid that are separated from each other, and they sit nice and flat for the most part. And so it's by no means an invisible seam. I've never gotten that good at my box making to get that, perfectly invisible seam all running all the way around. And I'm definitely not going to get it with hand tools only. But I would say for the most part, it is pretty good. Now, the one issue that I ran into here is I forgot rule number 1 of making a box like this with dovetails, and that is you're supposed to have a dovetail by itself on the lid, because the problem is right now, the bottom section has nothing supporting it. There's no glue, there's no nothing. And so if you look right here, you can see that as I pull on the side here, it just kind of pulls itself apart. Now, obviously, in the function of a box, that is highly problematic, and we can't have it doing that. So the only way I'm going to be able to fix that is just by trying to get some glue in there to just hold it together. So like I said before, this is not something I'm going to be selling, so it doesn't really matter that it's not, perfect, that I'm going to be doing some patchwork there. But this is something that's really good to keep in mind, is when you're making a box like this, you want to figure out how thick your lid is going to be, where you want your lid, where you're going to be separating your lid from, and you want to have a full dovetail on the lid. Because it doesn't really do you any good to have all this nice dovetail joinery, but to not have it actually do anything. Again, overall now we're just trying to get her done because I'm actually very impressed with how well separating it with the dovetail saw worked. You know, it was definitely harder than using something like a Ryoba saw or especially the band saw or the table saw, but it did give me a pretty flat surface right off the saw that I only had to do a little bit of cleanup work with the sandpaper and the hand plane to actually get things sitting nice and flat here. So the hinges we're going to be using for this box are these little Horton Brasses box hinges. Now these ones have I think it's just over a 90-degree stop on them, and they are just absolutely the tiniest things you've ever seen. So I bought a couple of sets of these and I decided that I can't really use them on actual boxes just because they look so ridiculously small. But I am going to use a set on this box to just see how well they work and see if there's something that is worthwhile using. I do hope that someday Horton Brasses does make a larger set of these, you know, something for like a normal size box lid. But yeah, for now, this is as good as we get. But when installing these hinges, I am going to break the hand tool only rule because the only tool that I have that can actually drill a hole is one of my power drills. I don't have a bit and brace, and I'm not going to go down to Lee Valley and spend $100 so on a bit and brace just for this project. Like I said already, I'm not buying any tools to make this box. The whole thing is just to try and use the hand tools that I have in my shop. And the one thing I cannot do with any of the hand tools that I have is turn a drill bit. So we're going to be cheating slightly by using the power drill, but of course, if I had the option to just go buy a bit and brace, I probably would, but they are kind of a ridiculously expensive tool to buy new, and there's not another flea market for a little under a week anyway, so that's not an option either. So I'm going to be using the drill there to install these hinges. Again, I know that I'm cheating. I feel really bad deep down in my soul, but overall it's one of those things. I don't really have the choice of doing it the hand tool way without going and spending a lot of money. Okay, so that is the box all completed. I still gotta finish wiping the oil off it because it's still looking a little bit on the oily side, but overall that is a fully functional box that, like I said, is just still very oily. So that was a very fun little side project. Now, I was reading some of the comments from yesterday's video, and I want to make sure that everyone understands that this is not about me, saying never work with hand tools or I hate working with hand tools, stuff like that. This was all about experimenting for me because, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, since I got into woodworking, all I've ever had is machinery. One of the first machines I bought was a planer, then right after that I bought a jointer, then I upgraded the table saw to a nicer model, and I've just kind of built up this shop that's all focused around using machinery. And the reason for that is because I don't find it as enjoyable to build something like this compared to something like a dresser or a bedroom set or a king-size bed. I like building that bigger, more interesting furniture. And so the harsh reality is that you can't really do that kind of stuff with hand tools only, which is why I never really was all that interested in working with only hand tools. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, of course, you can make all the same stuff that you guys have seen me make in the past with hand tools. It's just going to take a lot longer. And for me, where I really like machinery is in the places like jointing, thicknessing, cutting things to width. It's tasks like that that are so simple to do with machinery, yet, and on the flip side with hand tools, are very complicated to get right. Getting a board down to a precise width on a table saw takes all of 5 seconds. You set the fence, you pass it through, you're done. Whereas with hand tools, it takes a lot more technical skill. So on that side of things, I do think that is a very cool ability. As people who work with hand tools often, I have the utmost respect for them because not only are they super patient, they also have a set of technical skills that I probably will never have because I don't find it as enjoyable to work at that slower pace. Where I really like working with hand tools is anytime I can do some joinery, so like hand cutting dovetails. I can adjust joinery like with the dovetails or mortise and tenon, or I can do some finessing and fine tuning to make sure that my pieces go from a perfectly machined thing to something that'll work for the project that I'm working on. So my whole goal with this project was just to get my brain thinking in a different mindset compared to, when you're working with machinery, you kind of get stuck in these, rhythms of, I pass it over the jointer, I go to the planer, I go to the table saw, then I finish it off in the drum sander. You just kind of get stuck going in these same processes every single time. And so the nice thing about doing a project like this is it just kind of puts a speed bump in the way of your brain. It makes you think about something, and then you can go back into doing stuff with the machinery again. So I've got a lot of projects planned out. I'm going to be using machinery for all that. This is probably the last hand tool only project I'll ever do because, like I said, it's not that it was an unenjoyable process. It's not that the product is bad and I'm giving up forever on it. It's one of those things where now I have an understanding of what it would take without all this stuff that I have sitting behind me here. All the machinery, all that kind of stuff, all that stuff that just smashes through dust, makes a ton of progress really quickly. I now have much more of an appreciation for how much work it's actually saving me. And I think that's the biggest thing, and what I would highly recommend if you are someone like me who mainly works with machinery and you've never tried to do a project where you're just working with hand tools, and especially, number one thing, if you've never tried to get a board flattened and thicknessed and squared up with just a hand plane, give it a shot. It's actually a really fun thing to do because it just makes your mind work in a different way compared to working with machinery. But now that we have this done, we can move on to some other projects that I think y'all are going to enjoy just as much as I am, because I am super excited to get working on some of these. I think they're going to be super cool. But as always, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this project, and I will see you in the next one.